Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday. A few weeks ago, I released a vlog that basically was asking for questions because I started doing Q&A shorts on Steven Vlog. If you haven't seen them, you can click on the shorts section of the channel. I've done quite a few of them at this point, and I am continuing to do them. It's something I plan to just do. And if you want to ask a question, please ask it on that questions video. I'll put the link in the description. Anyway, these have been going well. I've had a lot of fun doing them. The only downside is that in a shorts format, you only have 60 seconds to answer a question. For 99% of questions, I think that's great. And it helps me stay on track and be like, all right, let's keep it short, keep it succinct, and move on. However, occasionally I'll stumble across a question that I'm like, I really wish I could dedicate a little more time to this. And I did that today. So I was looking through the questions today, and there was a question from Swishy Head. And it basically was asking, what constitutes, a complete library? Like, when is a game library complete? And that's a subjective question. I guess I should go upstairs to talk about this a little bit better. That is up to an individual person. Probably, obviously, there's not rules for this sort of thing. But as far as I am concerned, a game library is complete when you have every game that was released at retail and generally has a UPC. That is what I would consider complete. And I wouldn't count reissues. Reissues would be like player's choice versions or something like that. So for the Wii, using the Wii as an example, because we just did a vlog about this a while back where we talked about finishing it, all of the games here, 1,206 something, they all have individual UPCs. And that includes some weird oddities like Hasbro Family Game Night. Yeah, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's these double packs. So this fun pack, if you look at it, is just Family Game Night 2 and 3 on one disc. That's all it is. However, it is its own game. Has its own UPC. So I would consider that its own game. Sometimes finding out the list of the games is very hard. You have to do some searching. It can be difficult, and if you get your list wrong, then you may discover down the line that, oh wait, there was actually another game that was released that I didn't even know. So being in North America, I collect North American games, although occasionally I'll have some other games. But that's my personal criteria for something being complete. All of the games that were released in my region, North America, at retail. And that means that it would exclude games that came as a pack-in. So, for example, on the GameCube, there is a extremely rare game that is Wind Waker and Metroid Prime. And they're not on the same disc. The only thing that's really unique about it is the cover art. It's cover art where it's split down the middle. It's Wind Waker, it's Metroid Prime. It's one of the only GameCube games that we don't have. But it was a pack-in. It was not something that you could buy at retail unless you were going to buy a GameCube. It was a special thing that they released. So, does that count as complete? I don't think so. Wind Waker and Metroid aren't even on the same disc. Everything else about it is normal. It has a manual for Wind Waker and a manual for Metroid Prime inside the case. Would it be nice to own? Sure. But does it count as complete? Again, these things are subjective. So there's going to be someone that's I think that you need that. But it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. It only matters what I think. Now, for the individual games themselves, I consider a game complete. It varies a little bit. But for a disc-based game like this, I consider it complete when I've got the original art, the manual, and the disc. That's it. That's all I need. I know that there are some other collectors out there who want everything that came with it originally. And what I mean by that is, so the Wii has manuals for almost every game. Some of the later Just Dance games didn't come with manuals, but otherwise everything has a manual. However, a lot of the games also come with like ads for other games, little sheets of paper that's like, hey man, buy Call of Duty. And some people want all of that. That is so much harder. I do not care that much. I do not care that much. This was hard enough. There's no part of me that's like, I need those little sheets of paper. Now, if someone wants to do that, you know, good luck. I wish them the best if that's something that really brings them joy, but like that's a lot. That's a whole lot. Now, by my standards then, that means that the Wii U library is not complete. Do we have all the discs? Yeah. But you can see that like there's some like cover art and stuff that we're missing. It hasn't been something I've been super focused on. So I'm not like real concerned with it. It's something like I'll get to eventually. However, this is just for disc-based games. My rules for myself completely change when we get to cartridge-based stuff. And the reason for that is that cartridges came in cardboard. And cardboard is extremely fragile and extremely expensive. And it's hard to get your hands on, too. And that's why it's so expensive. Like, whenever you go to a used game store and you buy a disc-based game, like something for the Wii, there's a pretty good chance that it's going to be the whole thing. You're going to get a case and a manual and a game. If you're buying a cart, that's generally loose. You're getting just the cart. You're not getting a cart and a manual. You're not getting cart, manual, and a box unless you're going out of your way to buy a fully boxed, complete copy. Like, there's plenty of people that do that want the cardboard, but like that's its own thing. Like, most of what you're going to find is just loose carts. So I've decided for myself that when it comes to cartridge-based systems, the cartridge is enough. So for Super Nintendo, I've been working towards that, I guess technically my whole life. Whenever I have all of the carts, done. And of course that can't count some of the carts, like the Nintendo Campus Challenge card or whatever. Like, there's some things that are just so rare, it's not reasonable to try and collect that. But for, retail carts, things you could go to the store and buy, once I have all the carts, I'm good. Now, would I like to have the manuals? Yes. Yes, I really like the manuals. But do I want the cardboard? No, I don't have any interest in cardboard. And I do have some cardboard here. Sometimes I'll stumble across something and I'll pick it up if it makes sense to. Sometimes people send me stuff. And I will keep cardboard, but it's not something I go out of my way to get because it's too expensive. Like, I feel very fortunate. I've been collecting video games for a long time, and I was working on libraries before the big explosion in like the last 5 to 7 years of video games. Like, I finished N64 a decade or more ago, and that was good. That was really good, because these days N64 is just really expensive, and I have it done. And do I have all the manuals? No. Do I have the cardboard? Absolutely not. But is it fine for me? Yeah, that's totally fine. And again, would I like the manuals? I'd love them, but it's too hard to do, especially for things like this, because typically you're going to get the manual if you buy complete. And if you buy loose, then it's not going to come with a manual. So like trying to get the carts and the manuals, but not the box for something like this, or Super Nintendo or NES, it's really hard. So that's why I'm like, whatever. It's fine. Yeah, I think that basically covers everything. Now, there are some special cases for me where we've just went a little above and beyond. Like, we have all of GameCube, but then, for reasons maybe even unbeknownst to myself, we started collecting... Yeah, here we go. We started collecting the Player's Choice versions too. I think the reason that happened is because when we were working on the GameCube library, we had a fair bit of Player's Choice versions. And I think Roland was getting the Black Label versions in at Player's Choice, and he was like, sorry, the name of the store is also Player's Choice. And he was like, do you want those? And I was like, yeah, I think so. I think I'd rather try and like have all the Black Label games. But then we had so many of these, I was like, well, crap, let's work on those. I also got some demo discs, which I really love. I would love to work on collecting those as well. But again, I don't count any of these things towards like completion. Like, GameCube's done. We did it. We have it. Are there a few manuals that we're missing? Yes. But do I still think of it as complete? I'm like, it's complete. It's 99.9% complete. Over the course of my life, I'll pick up a few other things, but for the most part, yeah, it's done. Anyway, now I'm on the floor in the corner. That's it. Again, could I have probably answered this in a hugely abridged way in under 60 seconds? Yes. But having the extra time to talk about it was nice. If it's disc based, I try to get the whole thing. If it's a cart, then I just want the cart. And anyone who's getting into game collecting, like, I tell people, collect what you want. If you want to own physical media, I think that's great, but work towards the things that you want. For some people, that's going to be like a few games maybe they had as a kid, or games that they really, really love, and that's it. There's going to be other people that want to collect every game in a series. I have a friend who collects every physical Final Fantasy game, like every version of it, and that's a cool collection. And there's still going to be other people that work on entire libraries. But like, if you're working on an entire library in 2024, Godspeed, man, because the prices have gotten like really insane. Wii is still pretty reasonable. Wii U is still pretty reasonable. But I mean, that'll be changing. At some point, I'm sure that'll be changing too. Anyway, if you collect games, even if you're not actively working towards entire libraries, I'm curious what constitutes a complete library for you. Is it just the game? Is it the box and the manual? Do you have to have all the little things in it? Do you have to have the player's choice versions? Do you have to, get all these other little extra things? I'm curious what other people think. Yeah. Sorry, it's a lot. I'm happy to have collected video games. I really genuinely enjoy it. But sometimes when I look at things, I just envision the fact that I will have to move someday again. And I try really hard not to think about that. Thanks for watching. Let's meet back tomorrow, shall we?